Hi everyone, SimAgent42 here with another Microsoft Flight Simulator flight training video. And I have to say that I must hang my head in shame because I did this next navigation training session and I failed it. Yeah.
You weren't really supposed to land there.
Yeah, I was.
It's well done, don't get me wrong. Just not what was expected.
So you're gonna fail me now.
At this point, I think it's probably best if we start the lesson over.
Maybe not entirely my fault, because I think some of the directions are unclear, especially with regards to if you miss an objective, they don't tell you, hey, you missed an objective, you may want to like circle around and try again. So it was really disappointing because this is a longer flight, as you can see. If I click on it here, it's a 24-minute flight, so it was kind of frustrating to get all the way to the end of that and then be told that I failed it because I missed the last waypoint. But yeah, so from Sedona to Flagstaff, they're giving us some waypoints to follow and headings. So our friend Jess, the flight instructor, will be talking us through it. So let's try to see if we can get that done successfully this time. Our first, or not officially first, because I've already failed this before, but theoretically our first overland flight. Point to point, as it were. I really am enjoying the feel of the game, though. I was saying that in the
I've always said, flying is freeing. Open skies, endless possibilities. But to fully enjoy it, you need to be prepared. We're going to focus this lesson on navigation prep and procedures. The fundamentals of getting from point A to point B. Step 1, putting some distance between us and the ground.
Alright, let's do it. Full throttle, brakes off, counter steer for the yaw. Looks like good RPMs. Oops. Airspeed's alive. Looks like 60 knots. 70 knots. Little back pressure on the stick. And we're off. We're climbing to what I believe is they tell us 5,800 feet. 5,800.
We're off. Now, keep climbing around the airport till we reach 5,800 feet.
So, do they want us to, like, circle the airport? I wasn't clear on that last time. I'm not clear on it now. This does seem like we're getting some good aircraft performance here. Now, one of the things that I was noticing in the last video, I'm suspicious that my HOTAS, the actual peripheral throttle that I'm using for input, the mixture, because I've got basically it's a twin throttle setup. One is for throttle and one is for mixture. The mixture might be creeping forward and having me run too rich. So I'm trying to keep an eye on that. Right now I have it set to about, I want to say 80, 85%.
Goes without saying, but good navigation starts with good departure prep. Let's set up the aircraft for the first leg of your trip.
setting cruise altitude. Not sure what that means.
Attitude? Check. Now for your heading. When you need to set and maintain a heading,
So
you
41,
want to rely
I
on your
overshot.
heading indicator. Compasses are prone to errors, especially during turns or while accelerating or decelerating. Go ahead and position your plane above the airport.
Yeah. Done. Sort of. I'm sort of like reading ahead because I know that this Munns Park waypoint is a heading 41. So that's sort of what I'm pointing at. Then what I'd like to do is I'd like to sort of departure position. Okay. So we're going to try to hit these waypoints a bit more directly this time.
Oh, one last bit of departure prep. We need to validate the time. That's
Right.
a fancy way of saying start the clock.
Okay. Start nav log stopwatch.
On the nav
Boom.
log, you can see our next waypoint, Munns Park, is at a 41-degree heading about 5 minutes away.
There we go.
Navigating is basically flying a given heading for a given amount of time. Sometimes you deviate, but if you track the time flown from your last known position, you'll always have at least a range for your current position.
Yeah, and see, what doesn't make sense to me based on these instructions is that that time is going to vary based on your speed. So
We all
this time
know
around,
speed can increase or decrease depending on the wind. That's why at your next waypoint you'll want to compare your estimated time en route with the actual time flown. Validate your estimate and your progress.
okay. Yeah, so this time around, I am essentially flying much faster. I'm gonna try to climb a bit here because I feel like last time I flew this, I was too low. Or at the very least where I'm not losing altitude. Because what are we at now? We are at 6,000 or 5,800, which was sort of what they told us to climb to. So I'm gonna climb a little bit more. Just give us a nice sort of cruise climb situation here. Maybe like trim the nose up a bit. Jeez. That is so drastic. I really can't. See, now we've lost a ton of speed. We're like barely doing 60 knots. So. It's my understanding that an actual trim wheel is sort of like a very analog thing, whereas the trim wheel that I'm using on my HOTAS is feels very digital. It's got like individual detents for like, you know, +1, +2. And that's why it makes these huge jumps, it feels like. But yeah. A few seconds ago we were cruising at 100 knots and now we're down to 60. You know. I've got my throttles all the way forward here. I'm pulling the mixture back just a touch, maybe get a few more RPMs out of this. Heading looks good, attitude looks good. You know, sort of climbing almost at 7,000 feet, which is nice. Got a touch of left roll in here. We can kind of take an opportunity here to look out the window. Gorgeous valley out there. You know. Do I remember the button for the external camera? There we go. So now we can sort of like look at where we are. It does not give us a heading on these external instruments. Or if it does, I don't see it. So, oh, there's my trim. 0.2, whatever that means. Let's go back inside. Make sure we keep an eye on our heading. So we're above 7,000 now. I'm wondering if this sim models like a pulse oximeter, where we have to figure out, okay, how high is too high before we have to like be pressurized or whatever. All right, 30 seconds on the clock. 2-hour estimated time en route to Munns Park. I'm guessing we're gonna be too slow, so the ETE will pass. But that's okay. Now, last time I flew this, they said that there was a highway that we were supposed to follow after our turn. Can I make this smaller? I can. No, I can only make it bigger. That's the smallest I can make it. Interesting. Alright. Looking back forward again. Just trying to keep it pointed at this, trying to fly it by these visual nav points as opposed to, what the instructions say, because the instructions got me in trouble last time, I feel.
Good.
All
You
right.
made it to Munns Park. According to the nav log, we've got
So
one more stop.
343.
Flagstaff Pulliam Airport. An easier way to navigate is to follow identifiable landmarks like highways. And just so happens we have one below us.
Alright. So we're gonna straighten out here at roughly 343. Kind of get pointed in the right direction. We're gonna pause, reset, and restart the nav log stopwatch. We're going to follow the highway that we couldn't possibly see. So there's the highway. And our departure airport is way over there. Is that still the flashing beacon I can see over there? That's kind of cool. But I think one of the things that I still need to learn how to do is, I think what any good YouTuber can do is how to talk and fly at the same time. And I think that's just a matter of becoming more comfortable, operating the plane and, getting comfortable with the controls here, because I am still learning how to operate, the HOTAS. The last version of Microsoft Flight Simulator that I played was actually Flight Simulator 95, which, if you go and look at videos of that, with kind of emulated Let's Plays, you can really see how far we've come. Because I think that aside from the graphics and the procedurally generated terrain, vegetation and buildings, and the satellite imagery and everything, I think what all of that amounts to is a sense of atmosphere. Because I just remember, even though I was sort of practicing like the pattern sort of independently, I mean, I was in high school at the time, or was it middle school? I don't know. I forget how old I am. But I just remember thinking, or playing it, and everything looked very flat. Of course, the textures were very primitive by today's standards. There would like I remember taking off from Meigs Field in Chicago, just off of like downtown Chicago, which I'm kind of sad that they got rid of that airfield because I really liked it. And there was, probably a whole grand total of like 6 buildings rendered in the simulator for downtown Chicago, the Sears Tower being one of them. I just remember getting in that little Acrobat plane they give you, the 300S maybe, and just tearing it around between those buildings. So, but even that, it felt very flat, very sort of like unwelcoming. And I mean, you look around here, you see the haze in the distance, you see the quality of the light as it filters through the trees here, or like bounces around inside the cockpit. You really get a sense of place, a sense of movement. I feel like I can almost tell you what the quality of the air is inside the cockpit. Is it dry? Is it hot? Is it warm? And of course, it's as part of this tutorial. It's a very nice day for flying. What are we at altitude-wise? We're 8,700 feet. That seems okay. Again, the nav marker still seems to be above us. I'm not sure if that's like putting a beacon high in the sky so it's visible from far away, but it seems like it's just sort of way too high. They also didn't tell us to maintain a certain altitude. So Jess is dropping the ball here, I want to say. Pull back a little throttle because I'm getting a little bit positive rate. Maybe I can fine-tune my vertical speed with the throttle. That's what I've heard anyway. But yeah, this whole skill of like talking and being entertaining while flying these longer flights, I think is going to be critical because no one wants to see me like or watch this panel for hours on end if I'm doing longer flights. Still following the highway here. Oops. So now it does seem to be below us.
As you close in on Flagstaff Pulliam airspace, next step is setting up to enter the traffic pattern.
Okay. So I'm going to come a little to the left of this.
To enter the downwind leg and land on runway 21. Keep your attitude, then follow the standard pattern.
Yeah, so backing off the throttle a little. Wait till I get closer there. Again, it's tricky because I don't want to miss these nav markers, otherwise I'll have to do this whole thing again. But I am starting my very gradual descent based on the variometer, as I've learned that it's called. So eventually I'm going to swing right here to 030. And that's because it looks like Flagstaff has the same runway heading as Sedona. There's the runway. Yeah, I'm way too high. That's fine.
Lower your nose to a cruise attitude and reduce your power.
Alright, base turn. See, I'm interested in what those VOR indicators are doing. Adjust my trim a little. Yeah. So it doesn't give me an altitude because I feel like I'm way higher here than I was in Sedona. But is that something that I can look up? No. Or I probably can, but maybe not right now. Or they haven't shown me how yet. So I am still descending gradually. That's okay. Not quite ready for flaps. Dialing a little yaw in here.
Power should be at idle now, so you're losing altitude while maintaining cruise attitude.
Yeah, it doesn't tell me what idle is. I'm just sort of like figuring that out by myself. And then trying to come around here to final. So this was the checkpoint that I missed the last time. I think I was maybe too low. So I'm gonna feed it a little so that I can come around properly.
Finally, a landing on runway 21, and we'll call this one done.
There we go. So I'm gonna come in a little hot here. Add a degree of flaps here, 10 degrees of flaps. Oops, I took away flaps. There we go. It's always the opposite direction than I think it is. Alright. I don't want to stall here. I do need some power. And so I am... Looks like I'm a little high. There we go. 2 white, 2 red on the glide slope. Too low. Now, did I touch before the threshold? Okay. Okay. I am way off the center line, just barely on the runway. Alright, give me a... I'm gonna go for the next taxiway. That was a bit too sharp. Just easing on the brakes here. And I'm just gonna pull this off.
Alright, successful VFR flight in the books. Not bad. Not bad at all.
Well, you know. Okay. So yeah, I was able to get that one done. Again, it doesn't feel like what I think flying should feel like. It feels like you're playing a game. And maybe that's the compromise there. I know that there are definitely more realistic simulators out there. But I'm starting with this one because I'm not a pilot. I don't, I'm not doing this for professional development. I'm doing this for personal development. So, yeah, well, I'm glad we got that one done. Thank you for joining, and, hopefully I'll see you in the next one for our final training mission, and then we should be able to explore more broadly, and I'll try to poke around some nearby airports and try out some different planes. And so that'll be like another series. Maybe I'll just call it the Explore series, and then we'll figure out what to do next. Again, thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.